In the first video on life processes, we'll be talking about nutrition. We'll be talking about what is meant by nutrition, what are nutrients. We'll be talking about autotrophic mode of nutrition, which happens in plants. We'll be talking in detail about photosynthesis, what is the actual mechanism of photosynthesis. We'll also be discussing about the conditions that are essential for photosynthesis to take place. Not only this, we will be showing experimentally that even if one of the conditions is not fulfilled, the process of photosynthesis cannot take place. So let's get going. The first topic, what is meant by nutrition? So nutrition is the process by which organisms acquire their food, they get their food, and that food helps in providing them with nourishment, in their growth, in the maintenance of their organisms, or in short, the sustenance of an organism. Sustenance means the ability to live. We know that life processes are the basic processes that enable an organism to survive. Even if one of these processes is not carried out properly, it becomes difficult for the survival of an organism, whether it's a plant or an animal. So there are basically four major life processes which are absolutely essential for the survival of an organism, one of which is nutrition. We'll be talking about respiration, transportation and excretion also in the subsequent videos, but this video will be dedicated majorly to autotrophic mode of nutrition. So we have discussed what is meant by nutrition, what is the need for nutrition. Now, how do we get nutrition? We get nutrition from the food that we eat. So the food that we eat should be rich in nutrients. So when I say nutrients, what does it mean? Nutrient is any substance which may include carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals, which is required by the organism for the proper functioning of the body. Now there has to be a balance. That is why we always say that balanced diet or balanced nutrition is a must for the healthy survival of a living organism. Then nutrition can be of different types. Broadly speaking, nutrition is of two main types. We call it autotrophic mode of nutrition and heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So autotrophs are those organisms which can synthesize their food from the inorganic matter that's present around us, that is carbon dioxide, water, sunlight, all these are inorganic substances. Whereas heterotrophs are those organisms which cannot synthesize their food themselves and they have to depend on autotrophs for their food, just like we need vegetables, fruits, spices to cook our food. We cannot create a carrot or we cannot create a potato ourselves. We have to get it from the plant. So we are not autotrophs. Though we cook our food in the kitchen, we can call it as processing, but we cannot call it as making the food ourselves. So we can only process the stuff that we have obtained from plants, or if someone is non-veg, you're getting the flesh from other animals, you are processing that, but you cannot create it at your end. So that is why we are all heterotrophs. Heterotrophic nutrition is of further three types: holozoic, saprotrophic and parasitic. We'll be discussing about this also in the subsequent videos. So when we say autotrophic mode of nutrition, the first word that comes to our mind is photosynthesis. We have been studying this since our junior classes, that photosynthesis is the process by which green plants manufacture their food in the presence of sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water. So there are four conditions which are absolutely essential for the process of photosynthesis to take place, and these four conditions are presence of carbon dioxide, presence of water, presence of chlorophyll and presence of sunlight. Now you have been studying this equation many times in your junior classes, like from class 6 onwards you have been studying this equation. When someone asks you, okay, what is photosynthesis, you always write down this equation. 6 CO2 plus 6 H2O in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight gives you a molecule of glucose and 6 molecules of oxygen. So we have been doing this since like very junior levels. But what is new here now is that we are going to talk about the mechanism of photosynthesis. So what is meant by the mechanism of photosynthesis? The actual process of photosynthesis does not take place in one simple step as it has been summed up by this equation. It involves a series of steps. And in those series of steps, the first step is that the chlorophyll that is present in the green plants, it captures the light energy and it converts it to chemical energy in the form of ATP. So that is the first step involved in photosynthesis. In the second step, we call it photolysis of water. Photolysis means breakdown of water in the presence of light energy. So sunlight again is responsible for this. In the presence of sunlight, the water, it splits up into hydrogen and oxygen, and it is this hydrogen that is produced here which later combines with carbon dioxide and converts it to carbohydrates, especially glucose. So reduction is the process by which hydrogen gets added to carbon dioxide, which results in the formation of glucose, and this oxygen that was released by the photolysis of water is not used anywhere and it is liberated outside. So whatever oxygen we are getting from plants is because of the process of photolysis that has been carried out during the process of photosynthesis. So broadly speaking, we can sum up the process of photosynthesis, or we can split the process of photosynthesis into two phases. We call it the light phase and the dark phase. So light phase is the phase which occurs in the presence of light, whereas dark phase is the phase which occurs in the absence of sunlight. So I'll be throwing some more light on this topic. We'll be discussing this more in detail. Let's have a look at how this actually works. So mechanism of photosynthesis, as I said, can be broadly divided into two parts. The first part is known as the light phase of photosynthesis. In light phase, the first step is conversion of light energy to chemical energy. So ADP, that is adenosine diphosphate, it combines with a molecule of inorganic phosphate and gets converted to ATP in the presence of sunlight. So the bond that is formed, it is this bond that is storing all the energy in it. So whenever this energy will be required, the bond will break and the energy will be released at one go. The second step is photolysis of water. That means breaking down of water molecule in the presence of sunlight to form hydrogen and oxygen. So this is the second step involved in the light phase. Next comes the dark phase. Dark phase is not actually something that happens in the dark. When we say dark phase, it means the phase that does not need the presence of light. Light is not required for this phase to take place. So what happens here is the ATP that is generated in the light phase along with hydrogen that was also produced during the light phase combines with carbon dioxide which enters the leaf through the stomata. Now carbon dioxide is a very special person. Carbon dioxide always comes on a carrier molecule, and the carrier molecule here is RUBP. So these two, they are always like they come together. So RUBP is a sort of, you can say, a transport for carbon dioxide. It picks up the carbon dioxide, carries it to the chloroplast, leaves it there, and then again goes back and picks up another. So you can call it a kind of a taxi service. Now in this, what happens is that hydrogen and carbon dioxide, these two, they combine, and when these two combine, that results in the formation of C6H12O6, that is glucose, and RUBP is released because it was the carrier molecule. It just serves to carry carbon dioxide with it. It's not at all used up during the reaction, and the energy for the process is given by ATP, which now again breaks up into ADP and inorganic phosphate. So this dark phase reaction that I have written here is also known as the Calvin cycle. So this is how the process of photosynthesis is completed in plants. Now this doesn't mean that all these steps have to take place in the same sequence. It depends on what kind of a plant it is. Like for desert plants, they can't open their stomata during daytime because that will result in excessive loss of water from the leaves. So what they do is they prepare intermediates and they store it, and at night when the sun is not there, it's comparatively cooler. At that time they complete the process by taking in carbon dioxide from the outside. Another point to be noted here is that this oxygen that comes from photolysis of water is not used anywhere in the process of photosynthesis, and it is released to the outside. So whatever oxygen we are getting from plants is obtained by the water that the plants have taken in through their roots. So I hope this mechanism is absolutely clear to you, and these equations will help you understand this in a better way. Now coming to the conditions essential for photosynthesis, we know there are 4 conditions that are essential for photosynthesis: presence of chlorophyll, presence of sunlight, presence of carbon dioxide, and presence of water. So there is a common procedure by which we can identify that each one of these conditions is equally important, and even if one of these conditions is not satisfied, the process of photosynthesis will not take place. So what you need to do is take a potted plant. Now since we are checking for chlorophyll, the plant that you have chosen should have variegated leaves. Variegated leaves means leaves which have 2 different colors on them. You must have seen crotons. At times they have yellow spots or pink spots or white spots on the leaves. You need such kind of a leaf in which there are 2 different colors that are present. So you can see the one that's shown in the diagram here. Now you need to place this plant in a dark room for around 2 to 3 days, so that it gets destarched. Destarching means that whatever stored food was there in the plant, that will be used by the plant, and now no more starch will be left in the plant. After that, place the same plant in bright sunlight for 3 to 4 hours so that fresh photosynthesis will occur. After that, pluck one leaf from that plant and dip that leaf in boiling water. So when you will dip the leaf in boiling water, the leaf will become soft because the cells of the leaf will die. Then you need to boil that leaf in alcohol. When you will boil the leaf in alcohol, the leaf will turn colorless. All the color will disappear. You can just compare these 2 images. In the first one, you can see the green color and the outer margin is white. But once you have boiled it in alcohol, the leaf becomes almost transparent and all the color has been removed from it. After that, take some iodine solution with the help of a dropper and just put it all over the leaf. You will observe that the part of the leaf which was green now turns blue-black, and the part of the leaf which was transparent turns brown. Or the part of the leaf which was maybe yellow color or maybe pink color or maybe white color, that will turn brown. So what does this show? This shows that starch was present only in that part of the leaf where chlorophyll was present. Where there was no chlorophyll, there was no starch. So this shows that photosynthesis happens only where chlorophyll is present. Now we can test the second condition in the same way. Now this is again the same diagram, variegated leaf before the experiment and after the experiment. Like before it was looking like this. So the parts which were green, after the experiment they turned blue-black, and the part which was like yellow, it remained the way it was, or it turned brown when you add iodine to it, because brown is the original color of iodine solution. The second condition essential for photosynthesis is the presence of carbon dioxide. So this time we need 2 plants. Place both the plants in a dark room for 2 to 3 days to destarch the plants. After that, bring those plants out and you have to put them in bell jars as shown in the figure. In one of the bell jars you have to place potassium hydroxide, because potassium hydroxide has the ability to absorb carbon dioxide from the air. That means inside this bell jar there will be no carbon dioxide, whereas in bell jar B all the 4 conditions are being satisfied. The leaves are green, so they have chlorophyll. The sunlight is coming in because the jar is transparent. There is carbon dioxide present in the air and the soil has been watered well. Whereas in jar A, chlorophyll is there, water is there, sunlight is there, but there is no carbon dioxide. So after placing the setup for 2 to 3 hours in the sunlight and giving it a chance to perform photosynthesis, we'll be plucking leaves from both of these plants. Like we'll be plucking one leaf from setup A and we'll be plucking one leaf from setup B. Now make a guess, what do you think should happen? Yes, in setup B, you will get a blue-black color on the leaf because all the 4 conditions were being fulfilled and the leaf was able to perform photosynthesis. So obviously yes, starch was synthesized there. But in jar A, you will not get the blue-black color. Instead, the leaf will just remain brown because there was no starch that was present in the leaf, due to which we can conclude that without carbon dioxide, photosynthesis cannot take place. The third essential condition for the process of photosynthesis is the presence of sunlight. So this time again we will take a plant. We will destarch it by placing it in a dark room for 2 to 3 days. Then we will bring that plant out and we'll cover the leaf with a black strip of paper as shown in the diagram. We can use paper clips to just fix the strip in place on the leaf. And we will let the plant stay in sunlight for around 2 to 3 hours. After that, we will pluck this leaf and we will again perform starch test. How do we do it? First, dip the leaf in boiling water. Then boil the leaf in alcohol. Wash it with water again and then use iodine solution on the leaf. What will you observe? The part of the leaf which was exposed to sunlight, that means this part, will turn blue-black. Whereas the part of the leaf which was covered with a black strip of paper did not receive sunlight and it will remain brown in color. So this shows that sunlight is absolutely essential for the process of photosynthesis to take place. This image shows you the cross section of a leaf. Like if you take a cross section of the part of the leaf, you can see 4 layers. This is the upper epidermis. Then we have the, this is known as the palisade layer. This is the spongy layer. And the lowermost is the lower epidermis. So in the lower epidermis, you have this stomata, through which exchange of gases takes place through the leaf. And it's the palisade layer and the spongy layer together which forms the mesophyll, where the chloroplasts are present. So remember, photosynthesis does not take place in the upper epidermis and the lower epidermis because there are negligible chloroplasts present here. But all the photosynthesis takes place in the palisade and the spongy layer. So these open spaces, you can see there are a lot of intercellular spaces here which help in making the gas reach each and every cell. Like oxygen, carbon dioxide, they can directly come in contact with individual cells so that diffusion can take place and each cell can take up the gas as per its own requirement. Then this diagram shows you an open stomata and a closed stomata. So stoma is the singular word that is used for stomata. Now whenever the stomatal pore needs to open, the cells, the guard cells, these are the guard cells which are kidney shaped, they absorb water and they get swelled up and they become turgid, due to which the stomatal pore opens up. And whenever the stomata has to close, these cells, they lose water and they become flaccid or they become loose or shriveled and the stomatal pore, it closes. So I hope you've understood all the concepts explained in this video. The next video will be based on heterotrophic nutrition.